What if the reason you believe you are not smart enough is because you were measured by the wrong test? Not because you lack intelligence, but because the intelligence you carry was never on the exam. We all grew up with the same definition of smart. Good at math, good at language, good at memorizing and performing on a test. And if you were not those things, you were told directly or indirectly that you were not enough. Maybe a teacher compared you to someone else. Maybe your grades told the story. Maybe you just felt it. That quiet sense of not quite fitting the mold. And you carry that with you into adulthood, into your career, into the way you see yourself today. And here is what nobody told you. That definition of intelligence, the one you were measured by, was never complete. In 1983, a psychologist named Howard Gardner published research that changed how we understand the human mind. He found that intelligence is not one thing. Over decades of his research, he confirmed 8 distinct ways of being brilliant, and he proposed a 9th. But he refused to fully claim it until the evidence was complete. This is how real science works. Gardner himself said it plainly. In his words, the biggest mistake of past centuries in teaching has been to treat all children as if they were variants of the same individual, and thus to feel justified in teaching them the same subject in the same ways. The biggest mistake, not a small oversight, not an outdated method. And the school system, the one we all went through, measure only 2 of them. And Gardner said something else, something even more important. He said whatever students learn in school will likely be forgotten unless they take an active role. Students can pass an exam by memorizing information and forget all a few years later. A student who makes a prediction, run an experiment, analyze the results, they build knowledge that lasts. He put it in 5 words. The greatest enemy of understanding is coverage. Racing through subjects, covering material, moving to the next chapter before anything has taken root. He said it in 1997. And what did the system do? It doubled down on standardized tests. It pushed teachers to teach the test. The exact kind of teaching Gardner said should be avoided. The research was there, the warning was there, and the system chose the test anyway. Let me show you what was never shown to us. The first 2 of intelligence that are valued by school are linguistic and logical mathematical. Words, numbers, logic, analysis. These are the only 2 that were ever on the test, but Gardner found 6 more and proposed one beyond that. Special intelligence is the ability to think in images, to see what does not yet exist, to design and build from imagination. Every architect, every engineer, every artist who ever creates something from nothing, this is theirs. Musical intelligence is the ability to feel rhythm, pattern, and sound at a level most people never access. This is not just for musicians. It is a way of processing the world. Bodily kinesthetic intelligence is the ability to learn and express through movement. Dancers, athletes, surgeons, craftspeople, their body is their instruments of thought. Interpersonal intelligence is the ability to read people, to feel what is unspoken, to lead and connect with them. Every great leader, every teacher who changed a life, this is their gift. Intrapersonal intelligence is the ability to know yourself, to understand your own emotions, your patterns, your truth. This is the rarest and the most undervalued of all. Naturalist intelligence is the ability to connect with living systems, nature, animals, patterns in the physical world. Scientists, farmers, healers, they see what others miss. Those are the 8 Gardner confirmed. And there is one more, is existential intelligence. The ability to sit with the big questions. Why we are here? What does it mean? What matters? Philosophers, spiritual teachers, the child who always asked why. Gardner proposed it himself, but he refused to fully confirm it until the evidence met his standard. 8 confirmed, 1 proposed, only 2 measured. The rest, ignored. And here is what that cost us. Even Einstein, the name we used to mean genius, was called slow by his teacher and failed his university entrance exam. The system could not see him either. There are people walking this earth right now with extraordinary gifts. A natural healer who was told to study accounting, a born leader who failed every exam and believed they were worthless, a child who could feel music in their bones, who was told to put down and focus, a deep thinker who asked too many questions and was called difficult. These people did not fail the system. The system failed to see them. And without a school that could name what they had, without a career path that could hold what they were, most of them folded. They chose safety over truth. They followed the path that was laid for them. And they ended up somewhere that looked right from the outside and felt wrong every single day. The ones who succeeded, the ones the world calls visionaries, artists, entrepreneurs, leaders, they were not gifted. They were the ones who dared to leave the path, who chose the intelligence they were born with over the one they were told to perform. Not because they were brave, because staying on the wrong path became more painful than the fear of leaving it. So what do you do with this? First, put yourself in these 9. Not the one that sounds impressive, the one that has always been true. The one you used as a child before anyone told you it did not count. That is your intelligence. It was never missing. It was just never named. Next time we are going to use it. Not to plan, not to strategize, to feel what you actually want. Because now that you know the ruler was wrong, we have a lot of work to do.